After the freshly facelifted 5th generation Ibiza, we look at the freshly facelifted 6th generation Polo. That is half of VW Group Superminis already covered. Let's start with the looks. While the Spanish surgeons were rather conservative lifting the features of their small hatchback, the Germans were a bit more forward by giving the Polo a similar styling to its bigger brother, the Mark 8 Golf. The biggest change, literally, were the taillights, which turned out quite big. Changes to the front are a bit less dramatic, and while I liked how it looked before, the Polo styling has become a bit more grown up, and for once I think it looks better than Seat's counterpart as well. Part of the appeal is down to the R-line pack that contrasts nicely with the pure white color. Engine-wise, the Polo is a bit handicapped. The 1.5 is not available anymore, so unless you go GTI, you have to make do with 3 cylinders, 1 liter of displacement, 110 horsepower and 200 Nm of torque. Is the car massively underpowered then? No. Sometimes it even manages to feel quite torquey with its 200 Nm. And as with the bigger 1.5, all the torque has been huddled towards the lower rev range, starting from 2000 RPM. And with its 110 horsepower, it is as powerful as the original Mark 1 Golf GTI 45 years ago. The Mark 1 Golf was significantly smaller than this Polo. In fact, the Polo has grown to Mark 3 Golf size. Think about that for a minute. So maybe this isn't a Supermini anymore. Maybe it's a Hyper Mini. Or a Maxi Mini, or unlike the Mark III Golf, this Polo comes with quite a bit of kit. For example, the last gen infotainment system, which isn't bad at all, and the last gen steering wheel, which might be the best one yet. Physical buttons, well laid out, very usable. In other places though, a few touch elements have snuck in. The seats are a blend of fabric and Alcantara and are more on the comfy side. The Seat's optional Alcantara seats were a tad more supportive, but those are not available on the Polo. Even though the cars are identical underneath, they couldn't be more different to drive. The Polo is softly sprung and comfortable, and thus is subject to a substantial amount of roll. And the smaller diameter wheels on winter tires exacerbate that effect. The Seat was definitely the more engaging car to drive. The gearbox is the usual 7-speed dual clutch piece that has a bit more difficulty with this small engine. It feels nippy enough off the line, but in terms of elasticity, it's a bit not that. If you think, no, this engine is way too powerful, then you can have a 95 horsepower tune of this exact same engine that can be mated to a 5-speed manual gearbox. What do we think then? It's a solid but ultimately dull hatchback, which is also quite expensive when looking at the competition. Top spec Polos, Ibizas and Fabios, they all go for well above 30k. Hyundai's i20N, which unfortunately we weren't able to test, starts at a similar price level, but you're getting a serious performance car. Stretch a bit further and we're looking at the GR Yaris. Or a Super Maxi, or a Mega Mini, or a Mega Maxi.